And we're live. I'd like to welcome everybody to Let's Talk Fishing podcast. Again, my name is Jay Angel. I'm going to be your host. And tonight, I'm very excited to announce that the Northern Illinois Sports and Outdoor Show is only 1 week away, guys. It's going to be January 13th through 16th of 2022 at the Lake County Fairgrounds in Grays Lake, Illinois. I know you guys are chomping at the bit to go and see a sports show. This one, they have a full lineup of speakers, a muskie panel, a walleye panel, dozens of booths, everything from charter boat captains to guides to lots of product, man. They have lots of product at this show. It promises to be a good one. Go on there, go into the Grant Rods booth and tell them Jay sent you. They're going to put some of the best rods you can possibly imagine in your hands. And tonight I have a guy who I've actually met this guy in person, but went fishing with him, and let me tell you, man, first time I ever went fishing with this guy, he caught a 6-pound bass on one of his own product. I was screaming louder than he was, man. I was just so excited about that. But anyway, I have none other than Zach Dubois from Cajun Lures. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you again, buddy. And man, you have a new addition to your family, don't you?
Yeah, got a little baby girl.
Oh man, congratulations!
Thank you.
I bet you didn't. I bet you thought it wasn't possible to love another being that much, did you?
Oh yeah, it's like when they say when you're wrapped around a finger, I'm definitely wrapped around a finger. No doubt about that.
First time she looked at you, you wrapped around her. I know I'm a father and I have a daughter, so I can tell you that.
Oh, we just now with the new year, my wife's a teacher, so she teaches during the day, and of course I work here at the shop. So she's only 5 months old, but we had to already send her to a babysitter. So we started that Monday. So sending her to the babysitter was already hard.
Oh man!
Oh yeah.
You better be careful with my baby.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you gotta let them. You gotta let them spread their wings and fly someday.
Yeah, my daughter's 22 years old, about ready to graduate from college, and she works as a waitress at an Italian restaurant.
Oh yeah,
in Chicago. And I'm
yeah.
I don't even want to go there. No. Grr.
I understand.
What's new and exciting at Cajun Lures, man?
Well, we're getting kicked off the new year, so the big thing that we're gonna have going this year for sure is we got our little catch club boxes, and that's a monthly subscription box. So
that's a mystery, right?
Well, it's not a mystery. We pretty much not really. Well, it's kind of a mystery, but what we try to do is actually send baits to you that's good for that time of year. So, for example, like today, I sent out most of the January boxes. So what we put in them, and I'll show that in here in a little bit. We put what's good to fish with in January. Whether from the type of baits to the color that we choose, all that. So in April you'll get the April box, and that'll be good baits to use in the month of April, for the spawn or what have you.
For the spawn around here, yeah,
not necessarily up
north.
But I mean,
April, May, June.
The boxes are mostly obviously geared to us fishing in Louisiana and our region.
Sure.
So but yeah, we got that going this year. That's something we've been wanting to do for the last few years. And I'd always kind of put it off, I guess, a little bit. I've always had the idea, and I've worked with like other companies like Mystery Tackle Box and such in the past.
You have.
And yeah. So, so I just figured I want to do kind of like do our own little box, with our variety of products. And now, with the way things are kind of changing as far as the industry and just business and how things go, a lot of people are buying online more, I guess, because of the pandemic and such. So this is just a good way to kind of, try lures, try stuff from us, and try stuff even as an angler for yourself. Try something different. If you like fishing frogs a lot, well, we'll send you a crawfish too, and you can try that.
just like you did when I fished with you. I'm like, why the heck did you tie me on a brush hog? You're like, well, I wanted to get you away from those wacky worms.
Yeah, that's right. I'm trying to get you a big bite.
Man, Dad, do I have to?
Oh yeah.
Then I ended up hooking into something that was just enormous on a wacky worm. No, the Baton Junior.
Yeah.
And I have talked about the Baton Junior on probably 20 different podcasts. I just like the way it sinks so slowly. It's great for shallow water like we have around here.
Yeah, definitely. This year I'm working on bringing back the Baton, which the Baton Junior was at the time we had a mold for it, so we were shooting those. But I'm trying to bring back the Baton, which is the 5-inch size this year. That's part of my goal too. We don't know when, but last year, last year was a fairly tough year navigating everything. The cost of goods are going up and everything, and so this year we had to kind of start with a clean slate and kind of, X out some colors and stuff that just weren't productive either between sales and fishing and what have you. So that's kind of doing that all right now, getting that going. So, but I figured it'd also be a good opportunity at the same time to bring back the Baton. So
there you go. Cajun Rob, Rob Welsh.
Mm-hmm.
He made a couple of comments here. He said, "Hey, Zach, the boss." And he said, boy, I might have a hard time saying this. The Baton rules, Che. He's from Pearl River. He can say that a lot better than I can.
The Baton?
Baton rules, C-H-E. Is that Che?
C-H-E. Oh, Shad? Is he trying to say Shad?
Shad.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I don't know French, man. I'm from an Italian neighborhood.
There you go.
So I've had to learn an entirely new language down here.
Yeah, it's funny because I'll talk French or just talk Cajun, use Cajun slang in front of people, and I just do it naturally, obviously.
Yeah, yes.
But I forget that other people around other parts aren't familiar with that, so they're kind of like, "What you talking about?"
Well, I lived out in Morgan City for 5 years, and I listened to you do the Cajun Weatherman, and I was having a hard time following you. Yeah. And I was down there where they speak like that,
Yeah, well, doing the Cajun Weatherman, which I think I'm more famous for that now than anything else. But that Cajun's a little more amplified. I turn up the Cajun a lot more to doing that.
Well, I enjoy that every time you do it. I watch it, and so does Rob, who now lives in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he turns up the Cajun too. So
it's funny, just I did that one day, just kind of being silly, and next thing I know, I've been doing Cajun lure stuff for 6 years, going on 7 years now, and just doing that. Well, I start doing silly TikToks, being the Cajun Weatherman, and I'm more famous for that in, I don't know, 3 months than I was doing 6 years of business stuff, Cajun lure stuff,
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, that is scary. But it just tells you your public likes that.
Yeah.
Cajun Weatherman.
Well, I thought about that one day because, I watch the news over here, and, the news reporters, they talk with their news reporter style, and I always said, man, what if they always had a real Cajun guy on the news? Like, what would he say? And then one day I made a TikTok, and then I guess the rest was history.
So now you are the Cajun Rick Santorum.
Yeah, exactly.
When you see Zach pull up in his Cajun Weatherman van, things are going to be bad.
I might have to get me a van one day. You never know. You never know where it'll go.
Well, you have 2 or 3 more kids, you will.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, if it pays the bills, I'll be the Cajun Weatherman all day.
Oh, yes, exactly. So what other lures do you have that you wanted to show us, man?
Well, now that we're streaming with the video and stuff, it's kind of a cool opportunity. We could talk about the Bayou Bug here.
The Bayou Bug 2.0?
Yeah, this is the Bayou Bug 2.0. Well, now the official Bayou Bug.
Okay.
So I figured I'd show it off a little bit today. Kind of talk about the new features on it. What's the same and what's the old one. Let's see. There we go.
There you go. Man, look at that color. That is
This
awesome, man.
this is Junebug red right here.
Junebug red. Man, nice.
Well, one of the first. Well, I'll talk about what's the same in versus the old Bayou Bug design, and that's the shape of the body here. You know, that profile and that shape and everything, and that little internal valley.
There's a valley right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those ridges too.
Yeah, and then also, so that's kind of what the same thing is, and then also the shape of these tentacles, the split tail here. But what's different compared to the old design is what we've done was added this little portion of, I guess you could say, a little bit more meat at the top, and that just helps you when you put a flipping hook in right here, and the flipping hook can sit right there, and it just helps from tearing up the head a lot more versus the old design. And then the other thing is we added these ribs right here. You can see that in the light. And when you run your hook through, your hook sits nice in that little valley, and it stays weedless right there. Whether it's a flipping hook or let's say a wide gap hook, Texas rig, what you name it. You know, you can keep it weedless right there from getting hung up or snagged anywhere. Grass, brush piles. And then the other key feature that we've changed up, see if I can show it good here, is these little kicker legs or arms, I guess you could say, whereas the old design just had arms that basically didn't have any action to it, and we wanted to create an actionable arm on there. That way on the free fall, or when you flip it or you swim it or what have you, these arms will kick, you know, and you see you got a little extrusion there on the end of it, and so on the fall they'll flutter, you know. And just gives the bait more action, kind of makes it more enticing for the bass, generate a strike. And then that's, you know, and then the old design for the split tail only had 2 little prongs here. We added a third one just for fun. Give it a little. So instead of trying to make it, let's say you're flipping, right? I like to think of the Bayou Bug. It has 2 different types of looks. You can make it look like a crawfish, or you can make it look like a brim or a little bait fish, a sunfish. So that was the idea by adding that little third little split tail there. You know, I mean, so if I keep it like this, it kind of makes you think of a crawfish. But if I turn it sideways, doesn't it kind of look like a little brim?
Yeah, it does.
You know, like this could be the little tail of that brim. Yeah, you know, get a little bit of tail and it eating off the bottom or anything like that. So I think that's what makes the Bayou Bug very versatile. You know, because you kind of given 2 different looks, where they're kind of eating on brim or they're eating on crawfish, you know. And then some other cool features that we kind of discovered later after we started fishing with it. And I've actually tried it out and it works. The first thing is, let's say you're punching and you're punching it as is, and maybe it's getting hung up or not sliding through as well as you would like. You can just simply pop off the little appendages there, and you got a cool little thin slide through, you know, bait there.
Yeah, Cajun Rob says on the Bayou Bug he loves the boudin color. He said that's money.
Yeah.
And he asked, what is your favorite color?
Oh, it's hard to say. I like them all, but you know, I will say one color that I find that I always have tied on, whether I'm fishing like Toledo Bend or I go fishing the basin. I really like fishing with the Swamp Magic color. I find that's always a good productive color. If I'm gonna go to a new place, I'll just have that one tied on first because I feel confident in it, you know. So I really like the Swamp Magic color.
And what's your best seller in the Bayou Bug?
Probably you know, your simple watermelon reds or a black and blue.
Black and blue, sure.
But they all sell pretty equal, you know. They've got their time and their place.
And that's what Rob was asking about. What's your favorite color and what's your best seller?
Yeah. And then now another cool thing, which I actually tried it, and I got the footage on video. I have to dig it up one day. So, well, let's say you fish in the Couillon Croaker, right? As you've seen before. And you've seen, I mean, not every fish is going to be able to snag up these legs and get a whole bite on there, right? Sometimes they'll short strike it. Well, if they short strike in your frog, you can just take off the Croaker, and you could take the bayou bug. And what I did was actually just you pull off the split tail to where you just have that right there, and
Wow.
and you could buzz this on top of the water. It looks like a little frog, and it buzzes on top of the water just like a little toad.
Yeah.
And your hook sits right here, right where those little legs are. So when they bite on it, even if they want to short strike it, boom, they're right there on the hook, and you get them every time.
Well, guys, I'd like to tell you a little story, man. When I was fishing with Zach, he had the Cajun Croaker. He was casting it over some emergent weeds, and I'd never seen such a cool strike. I've seen a lot of bass hit lures. This was cool. I mean, that fish blew up.
Yeah,
And it jumped a foot and a half out of the water, and we were both screaming. It was so exciting.
I actually have that video on my TikTok page.
I bet you do, because you had some kind of a really high end cam on your boat, and
yeah,
360, and you had that video edited. We got in the truck, we were running the air conditioner because it was about 110 degrees when we were fishing.
Yeah, it was hot.
and Zach had that thing edited before the truck even cooled down.
I know. I was too excited. I wanted to see it again.
Then he had it edited, had it put together from 4 different cameras, and he had that on Facebook within 10 minutes of catching it. No, I'm just saying that was beautiful, man. He as an outdoor communicator, I'm like, wow, have I ever been just run over by this technology? Because I have no idea how to do that.
Well,
wow.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, of course, you fool with it enough, you learn how to do it
yes.
quick. So, and I mean, of course, I've been doing that for however many years now. I go fish and get some cool footage, and
it all
boom,
together,
boom, boom,
man.
throw it together.
But I just want to compliment you on that. That was really cool watching you do that, man.
Well, I remember telling you in the boat, I said, I think I might have started off throwing a spro frog or something, saying, I'll probably get a few bites on this, and maybe I did. I don't remember, but I said I'm gonna throw the Cajun Croaker because I know if I'm gonna get a bite on this, it's gonna be a good one. And sure enough, it happened.
It was a good one. So I hooked into a monster there. I lost it because I hadn't changed my tactics from the north yet. Up north, you can get away with small hooks because you just grab it. Fish bites, you pull it off the rocks,
mm-hmm.
and then you just fight them. Well, down here, the fish bites, you got to pull them through unbelievable amounts of. That's why you guys use the bigger tackle, the bigger hooks, the tougher line, because up north where the water's crystal clear, you can't get away with using 20-pound even fluoro.
Oh yeah, you got to pull them through grass, wood, sticks, Coke cans, beer cans, pool noodles, you name it.
Yeah, but up there where the water's clear, you cannot use the same line. You just can't. And smaller hooks are even more of an advantage up there. But they don't work down here, and I hadn't gotten that through my thick skull yet. So I lost the fish. I don't know how big it was, but it was big because I couldn't move it.
Oh yeah,
I would have gotten it in had it not gone into those coon tails.
Oh yeah, they'll get you every time.
And it just I felt that line start doing this, and I'm like, God, where is that camera? Line start doing this, and I'm like, oh well, it was fun while it lasted. If I would have had if I even had like a size 2 hook, I would have gotten that in.
Yeah,
but I don't use 6-pound line anymore.
Well, I've been honestly, I've been doing a lot of finesse fishing lately. I've been keeping the drop shot in my hands probably since last April.
Is that in Toledo Bend?
Yeah, I'm just driving around. I'm finding a lot of, not a lot, but I'm finding small to medium schools of fish. I might pull up and just be graphing a little area, and I'll find not a lot. I mean, just maybe 5 to 10 fish, and sometimes they're small, sometimes they're good. But I mean, I'll keep the drop shot in my hand, and I do a 10-pound braid main line, and then I'll do an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, to the drop shot. So, but Honestly, before last year, I never even threw that. And it was never even a thought in my mind. And then
Yeah.
finally, I Googled a video, and I think it was a video Aaron Martins did of how to tie it and everything. So I did that. I got the right hooks. I used a little 1/0 size hook. And then also Tyler Carrier showed me how he rigs his worms on there. And I was like, that's a good idea. So I've been trying that, and it's very productive. If I go up to the school, I'll catch them, and I'll try like a Carolina rig or a football jig and other things like that too, just to see. But it's hard to put down because it works.
You know, finesse fishing definitely has its place.
Oh, absolutely.
And being from the north, I had to get away from finesse fishing, and being from the south, you had to get away from power fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't really have to get away per se. You had to branch out because, man, you can't be a tournament fisherman if you can't power fish.
Oh yeah, you have to power fish. Well, I've always thought of finesse fishing like I can go through a crankbait, a spinnerbait, and power fish all day long, but some days you have to finesse them because you got a post frontal day, or they just don't want to bite as much. But that finesse is where it really comes into play. And being a tournament angler and being an angler in general, I want to be able to catch them on good days and bad days. So that's why I learned that finesse fishing game.
Well, Rob said that he likes to power shot the bayou bug.
Oh, really? That's new. I never heard of anybody trying that yet.
Oh yeah. Well, he's Rob's a co-angler, and he sees a lot of the stuff that the pros don't talk about, but they do.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about being a co-angler. And all that stuff has its place. Like my favorite presentation, the Wacky Rig. If you want to get back in the small places, and you don't really want to go, you don't really want to go to the bottom. You think a lot of fish feed halfway down. And,
Mm-hmm.
if you got the Baton Junior and you're skipping that back, they're in small places and it's just barely sinking with a small hook in it, that's irresistible. The bass is just sitting there looking up at it, and he
Yeah.
just that thing just floating down like a fish that's just failed and died.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't resist that. That's a free meal for them. They don't have to chase that thing down.
Yeah, exactly. It's a easy steak for them.
It's a lot easier than chasing a crankbait with a reel that goes 9.6 feet.
Well, it's kind of like an analogy. If you're a wild animal, let's say you're a cheetah, would you rather chase down a big fat cow or have to chase down a zebra? I'm going for the cow.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I'm definitely going after the fat cows, even if I'm not drunk. Yeah. Sorry about that.
They got a few of those.
Oh yeah. Too much gumbo.
Oh yeah, and it's gumbo weather right now.
It sure is, man. I appreciate the food down here because I'm from the land of amazingly awesome pizza.
Yeah.
And I came down here and they're like, you got to try gumbo. You got to try boudin. You got to try jambalaya.
Pastelaya, fricassee, jumbo shrimp, you name it.
Yep. So you get show me some other lures you got.
Well, some other ones that we're gonna have this year in the lineup. We're gonna have Cajun Croaker.
Why don't you show that close up, man? I want people to see that.
This is the Cajun Croaker. So that's the leg,
man.
When you purchase it, it'll have the little appendages, so it'll be together like that. But when you break them off, that's what that's how it. So the idea behind the design of it, which this was actually one of my first 100% from scratch lure designs that I did, and the idea behind it was that we wanted a frog that was a little more versatile, but I really wanted a frog that actually looked like a frog. So like a lot of buzzing frogs on the market just simply buzz, and just create commotion on the surface, but they don't actually look like a frog, And I just wanted a very lifelike frog. So, and I wanted to achieve a lifelike frog in soft plastic, So, anyway, the way it works is if if you would actually fish this lure subsurface, when you would pop your rod, let's say it's just under the surface, fully submerged, these legs will kick like that.
Wow, just like a frog really does.
Exactly how a frog, if you watch a video of a frog, it kicks like this when it swims, and that's the idea. So that's why the legs, when you pop your rod, it'll extend out, and then the legs will curl back into itself, and then you pop it again. So you can actually catch the fish, in theory, that if they're not going to bite on the top water, you can basically swim at subsurface and they'll still eat it there. And that happens a lot, actually. I mean, you just go to the pond or the lake and you throw in the top water, buzzing it, you name it, and they're just not hitting it. And then you start swimming it like that under the water where they don't have to maybe come up and roll on it. Now you start getting bites, So I wanted a versatile frog, and we achieved that. And then we also got, for a single hook, you could put a little weed guard there. Your hook's gonna come out the back right here, and you can stick it right there and keep it weedless. But you could also still fish a 4/0 double hook with this frog as well. I'll do that a lot.
That's what you were doing when we were fishing together.
Yeah.
And Rob says that the Croaker just has an unreal action.
And then another thing, and this kind of helped with my design background when I was designing boats before I got into lures. The belly shape of it, I actually designed it to almost mimic a boat hull, if you will. So what's good about that is as soon as you cast it, wherever it lands, it only takes maybe 1 or 2 cranks, and that frog is already up on the surface and is kicking. Whereas a lot of other frogs, in my experience on the market with them, you throw them and they'll sink. So you really, really got to reel, and you've just wasted about 10 feet of fishing in the strike zone till that frog finally gets on the top and starts buzzing.
Yeah, you just wasted the best, most productive water.
Exactly. So this thing, you throw it, and I mean, even if you let it sink for a little while, it's a few cranks and it's already up. It's planing and it's ready to get bit.
So if you wanted to work subsurface, do you put a small little weight in front of it?
You could. I like using a swim bait hook, a weighted swim bait hook.
Sure.
Or even a weightless swim bait hook. But usually a screw lock swim bait hook, and with the belly weight, so it'll the belly weight will help it sink like this,
Yeah.
Pretty even.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And another bait we're gonna have too in the lineup will be the big old worm.
Big old worm.
You know why we call it the big old worm?
Because it's a big old worm.
That's correct. Everybody thinks it's a Cajun connotation. I'm like, no, that's all we come up with. It's just a big old worm.
I like that. That's cool.
Well, I had gotten the mold for this thing a couple years ago whenever I had gotten my machine, and I always wanted a curl-tail worm, a larger curl-tail worm like this. And I was excited to get it. And actually, as soon as I got the mold, I was going to Toledo Bend that week. I think it was during the summer. I was at home. I shot the mold in my favorite color, which is candy bug.
Candy bug?
This was the first time even fishing with it. Candy bug is, I don't know if you can see it in the light, but it's just purple with purple flakes and green flakes. And I went out there and I was fishing. I went to my little honey hole first thing Friday afternoon. As soon as I got there at 5 or 6 in the evening, threw this thing out on a 1/2 ounce weight with a 5/0 hook. I caught an 8-pound bass on it on the second cast. So I was like, man, this is a good luck bait now. So, and I really like it because, let's say, versus like a Zumo monster, which is what I fished for a long time,
sure.
Up until I've had this bait. A Zumo monster has a longer body and then a curl tail. And when you fish that, like during the summertime, I pretty much 80% of my fishing was with a big worm like this. And I feel like I've just got a real good knack for it. And I've noticed with like the old monsters, even if it's a smaller fish or sometimes a big fish, they'll have to bite you really got to let them bite 3 times until they get up to the hook before you can really set the hook. Because many times they've bit it, and I set the hook right away when you feel that first thump, and you come back and you just have no tail left because they'll bite that tail off. Well, one of the things I've noticed with this is that being that you have a wider tail, you have a big ribbon tail, but your body is actually only about 4.5 inches or so. Every time you get bit on this thing, I think the bass actually hone in on this body more, and they'll get the hook right away. Because, I mean, every bite that I've had with this thing has always just been like a thump, just one thump, boom, and I set the hook and I get them. Versus that boom, 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 So that's just something I've noticed with the big old worm, and I think that's a key feature that really helps.
So how long
helps your hookup ratio?
How long is the big old worm?
It's 9.5 inches total, stretched out like this. So I'd say if you're actually looking at it right here, it's hard to judge on this camera, but you probably have about 4.5 inches of body, and the rest is all tail there.
Rob says he can't wait to use that on a Carolina rig soon.
Actually, Michael Woods, he fishes up in Toledo Bend. He caught an 11-pound bass on it up there this year.
Carolina rigging?
Texas rig, I believe.
Texas rig, okay.
Yeah. So it's a big fish producer. I've caught my 8-pounder on it so far. I'm gonna try to catch a 10-pounder on it this year if I'm lucky. We'll see. But Michael's caught some, and there's been some big fish caught on Toledo Bend with it, and I've got a very positive response from anglers on it, so I'm real happy about that.
What kind of situations would you throw that? What do you look for before you start throwing the big old worm?
I for sure like a wood structure, not like brush piles.
So a stump field.
Yeah, stump fields. I would look for like structure as far as ridges and stuff, a drop off, a ledge. Ledges, and if you could find ledge with like some with stumps a little bit coming off the bottom, and brush piles too. If you find like a log jam on the bottom, just good hard wood structure. That's for me. That's usually where I find those good fish on Toledo Bend with this thing. And I kind of, in a way, like let's say I'm fishing a ridge, and I don't know where the fish are. You can kind of fish it fairly quick, with a 1/2 ounce weight, and maintain contact with the bottom, and just kind of work that ridge. And it has like a big enough profile, it'll catch their attention. But if I'm fishing a wood structure like a tree or something, I'll really hone in on that tree and kind of make the worm go in and out of the limbs, rub all up in the limbs and all that stuff, kind of get the fish's attention. But, and then also, I don't know how many people do it. I like to do it as night fishing during the summer. This is a really good bait for night fishing.
Yeah, something that big is going to move a lot of water.
Yeah. And, black and blue, those colors, that's real good night fishing bait. Same thing, throw it on ledges and brush piles, and that's where I would fish it.
Absolutely, man. That thing looks cool.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite baits.
Okay, why don't we show one more?
Let's see. We got we could talk about the Madman too. That's a good versatile lure for saltwater. And
how long is that thing?
This is only 3.5 inches right here.
Oh man, that's speckled trout city right there.
Absolutely, speckled trout and redfish. This is go-to bait for it.
I mean, it's got that big paddle. It's going to move a lot of water, attract attention in the marsh.
Absolutely. Another cool feature here is this little fin that's on the top there. I don't know how well I could show it, but you can see the little split there. It has a little split in it, okay? So when you run your jig head through it, your jig head, you want to come out straight out the middle of that fin, and that way your jig head can be ran perfect every time, and it doesn't throw you off to the left or the right of the bait and affect the action. So you can rig a perfect jig head every time.
Wow. I
don't know how well you could see it, but it was just a neat feature that I had thought about, and Yeah, you
I
see
like
it
that
there.
color. It kind of iridesces.
This is the smoking shad color. So this is a good color. Speckled trout, bass. I mean speckled trout, redfish, and bass. So this is one that I bring everywhere.
Yeah, that blue, you got a little sparkle in the middle of it. I like that.
Yep. But yeah, that's the Mad Minnow, and we had a Mad Minnow design before this one, and this was another one of our lures that we decided to update, and definitely a lot better because the tail on the back end here was thicker, and
Okay.
so one thing that I wanted in the bait was if you were working the bait and on the free fall, like let's say you working it, you pop, and you want it to drop, the old bait wouldn't have any wiggle on the free fall. It would just do like a spiral motion. So I thinned it out a little bit. That way, when you let's say you're popping off the bottom, like pop, and then you're letting it free fall. On the free fall, you'll have that wiggle action.
Wow.
So like a trout or something, it'll get them to bite it on that fall.
Absolutely, man. Wow. That's the Mad Minnow, folks. And if you want to see the full inventory he has, go to CajunLures.com. I have that up on the screen now. So, you can just access that at your leisure. And also you can order directly from the website. So, just check out Cajun Lures. I've been using them for years now. And,
And don't
every time,
and
go
don't
ahead.
forget about the catch club.
And the Catch Club, man, yeah, as a fisherman, that's one of my big downfalls is I don't like to branch out because I've caught so many thousands of fish on 3 different lures. I know them backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And yes, I do catch fish on them. But if I branch out, I can catch fish in a whole bunch of other situations where, I'd be stumped before. Like when I fished with Lucas, your buddy, Lucas had stuff that Lucas had branched out, and he caught a lot of fish that day, and I didn't catch any. So, in fact, I was beginning to wonder if there were hooks on my line. No, it was just Lucas was up front, and Lucas is like a seine going through the water. He doesn't miss any fish.
Oh yeah.
And that man, he's worked hard to get that. Because you don't get to be that good by sitting on your couch.
Oh no, absolutely. Lucas, he's been fishing his whole life. So I mean, he's had and he also has a lot of experience. He fishes the opens and everything and local tournaments. So that he has all those years of experience to pull from, and that's really the trick. You only get better over time when it comes to fishing.
And he had all that experience on the spillway. And the spillway is if you've only been there about 6 times like I have versus him being there for decades. The spillway is a different place, man. I fished probably 200 lakes in my lifetime, and spillway is different than all of them.
Well, if you go there for the first time, let's say you come from, I don't know, let's just say Alabama or something, and you put your boat in and it's the first time even seeing it, it's very overwhelming. Just looking at it on a map is overwhelming. So it's definitely a place that takes experience to
It looks
to
like
learn.
it looks like there should be fish under every cypress tree.
Yeah, exactly. And there's not.
There's not. In fact, I'd always heard of the South. Oh my God, there's so many bass down there. Oh man, the first time I went to Florida, and I'm like, look at this. Then I started looking at the lake, and I'm like, every place I looked like it should hold fish, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Where do I start? Because I fished like 2 miles and caught one fish. Up north, the fish tend to school.
Yeah.
There's nowhere near as much cover.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
down here, the tens, ones and twos.
Yeah, it's up north there's school, so you can kind of hone in on them with maybe a few baits, whereas down here there's 8 miles of cypress tree shoreline you need to cover, and you put a flipping jig in your hands and just start flipping, and then all you can do is eliminate water.
Yes. And then once you start catching fish, you have to be able to put that together with the fish you caught 2 miles ago.
Yeah, and then you could be flipping that jig you could cover all 8 miles with the jig and never get a bite. And you put a white spinner bait in your hands, and all of a sudden you've caught 10 fish within 20 feet. You know,
And
it
it's
never
funny.
it never makes sense.
Some of my friends up north say, well, it's easy to catch fish down south. I'm like, you ever been down there?
Maybe they didn't come far south enough.
Yeah, they didn't come far south. They were up in Tennessee, you know.
Yeah.
Where Tennessee is just a wonderful state. I'd love to retire there.
See, I would consider Tennessee fishing north for me almost, you know, like Lake Pickwick and stuff.
Oh, but those TVA lakes are so cool.
Yeah, I got to fish in those in college, and it was a very cool experience. I'd love to go back there one day and fish them again.
Well, you go back there when you start fishing the opens.
Yeah, one day. One day when I can sell enough Kraken crawls and bayou bugs, then I'll fish the opens.
Yeah. Rob was saying 9 inches of snow in Lexington, Kentucky.
Oof.
Wow, that's what I grew up in, 9 inches of snow, and that's, yeah.
Honestly, being in Louisiana, we don't experience the snow that much. And normally when you do, it kind of feels like it's a big luxury. But last year, after the freeze and all the snow we had, I was like, I don't want to see snow ever again in my life if I'm not like skiing on it or something.
And it was funny, every time you get snow down here, everybody changes their Facebook profile picture.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at me in the snow. And people up north like, ugh.
Yeah, dreading it.
I hate snow. Well, hey, man, do you have any shout-outs you'd like to do, Zach?
Oh, yeah, just shout out to all my friends and family for all the support over the past years and, all the good stuff. And shout out to my wife for giving birth to my beautiful baby girl. If it wasn't for her, that it wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't happen.
She was my teammate,
Yeah, of course.
And go to CajunLures.com and check us out and all our other retail stores that we're in across the state in Louisiana. And subscribe to the Catch Club. You get a lot of cool benefits with it as well as being a member of it. So you get a variety of all these Cajun goodies, plus some. Actually, in this box for January, we've got some football jigs and flipping jigs with the Kraken crawls. So you get a lot of cool stuff with it. So check it out.
I'd like to make a shout out to Lucas Ragusa. He's also down here in southern Louisiana for introducing me to you. We've done a lot of good work together.
Oh, yeah. Lucas is a good friend. Real good guy.
Fantastic fisherman. One of the best. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. I know with a new baby, boy, you're busier than you ever thought you could be.
Oh, yeah. My hands are very full. Literally.
I've been there, man. I've been there. I know.
But it's fun. It's fun, though. I enjoy it.
I've seen things, man.
Oh, yeah. You definitely learn a lot. That's for sure.
You never do things you never thought you'd be doing, like finally get to sleep at 3:30 and you have to be up at 5 for work, and you still go. I still win.
Yeah. Somehow you're still awake and you're still going. I think your adrenaline starts pumping a little bit.
And also now it's a whole heck of a lot harder to get me mad because, 22 years of raising kids.
Oh, yeah. You get humbled very fast.
Yep. And all that selfishness goes away, too. But anyway, yes. So anyways, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I'd like to thank everybody for watching the Let's Talk Fishing podcast. Very special guest, Zach Dubois of Cajun Lures.